Welcome to the History Hunter. What are we doing? Well, up there is a very special place. You want to find out more? Then join us and let's go out and find the path together right now. Everywhere in Germany there are abandoned former Third Reich, Second World War, First World War barracks and camps. And this is one of the sites that are very, very fascinating. It is so big that it's almost unbelievable. We will hardly see all of it, but we will show you as much as we can because the site is in a way out there, but nevertheless it's too big for us to cover absolutely everything. After the First World War, Germany started to rearm themselves and they started to build their army, their Luftwaffe, their Kriegsmarine. Everything was about creating the Third Reich dream to conquer the world. And many of these barracks were made just for that, to put in as many soldiers as you can, train them, and then send them out to war. More and more of these derelict buildings are being torn down. Many of them were used by the Soviets after the Second World War. The Red Army came in and they slowly started to take over each and every building and they converted them for their use. And in the end, in the 90s, the Soviets moved out, passed the key over to the Germans, and then suddenly this is what you're left with. Absolutely just total smashed up derelict buildings. But in a way they're very interesting because there's a lot of features that you can watch and learn from. But most of these are ghost buildings. But in each and every one of these rooms there used to be soldiers. Soldiers that practiced to be very efficient killing machines. And every day they rose up and they did their duties. Today, the only thing that is kind of alive is the paint that constantly falls down from the walls. In some of these barracks there are beautiful drawings on the wall. Others has nothing. They're just empty shells. And the graffiti guys has been here, of course. But we wanted you to see what the living quarters of a German World War II soldier would have been and let you have that experience. So everything is falling apart here. Even the plaster on the wall, it's just coming down and everywhere you see. And you have to be very careful. But the stairs are in concrete, so they don't worry me. And some of the features that you find, you just don't figure out, like this here. What is that all about? Looks like a room where they could dry clothes, hang them up. So they've been out practicing and coming in from completely wet. 220 volts power supply for the whole barrack. See these old beautiful doors? They're still there. Not much that can tell you exactly that the German soldiers was here, but you can see there was even a bathtub. Could this be the barrack for the officers? I couldn't tell you. Shower rooms, washrooms, wonderful Russian-style toilets made after the war. It is all here. But one thing which is so bad is that all of this Could have been saved many, many years ago, but I guess now all that's going to happen is that in the end it will be totally torn down and you won't be able to see any of it. That's too bad, but that's reality, and that is what happens to most of these derelict buildings. All right, second floor. Let's go down and check this place out a little bit more. So when you look around, you can see the decay. You can see the plants are trying to get inside. And the other day, me and Eagle Eyes were at a lost city where the trees were actually growing inside the structure as well. And that was pretty special. But this is where the German soldier would come up, and that's kind of like a guard room there. They probably had a report in there. When did they leave? When did they come? They had to do the count, how many soldiers were accounted for, at what hours. And you can see there are even the original tiles on the floor here. And that's the exit for the German soldiers. This is the underground of the barracks. We just wanted to have a little peek in here. This is also very often built in such a way that the soldiers can come down here and use it as shelters. Very often you'll find all kinds of gear like heating systems. Most of these are heated with hot water that runs through a ton of these pipes. The Germans used them and the Russians used them. 90, 150, 70 degrees Celsius, and they could adjust these. And all that water would flow through all of these pipes into the building, and in the end make sure that the soldiers didn't freeze. Did you know that you can become a World War II History Hunter team member, and the artifacts here could be passed on to you in this manner and fashion here by creating beautiful World War II dioramas and displays? You can be the future keeper of something very, very special by the history and the history hunting that we share together. Check out the link in the video description. You can click that and you can become a Patreon team member if you want to. Different kind of perks with for your eyes only videos, travel vlogs, restoration projects, all of that good stuff. And if you want to know more, check out the supporter videos in the beginning of each month. But now let's continue our little adventure. These barracks are massive. I mean, just massive. And if you see here, they are like 1 story, 2 story, and they have a loft. And very often this specific area that we are now was very often a little Appellplatz, a little area where they collected the soldiers in the morning and got their information. Eagle Eyes found this. It's marked with 66 or 99. Can't see any here or Luftwaffe emblems, but this is a fork from this former German World War II camp. And I bet the Russians ate their food from that one. Eagle Eye just commented and said, "Daddy, what if people lived here?" And sometimes I wonder myself, why didn't the German authority kind of do something with all of this before? This could have been a thriving city with special people need to live in the thing, or wanted to live like this. I don't know, but they are all just totally wrecks. This thing, I think, is the mess hall for the officers because it looks very much like it. And I also think there was a casino in here. But as Eagle Eye said, why doesn't anybody live here? I don't have the answer for that, but I think it would just be too expensive. There's actually been a freaking fire there. Can you see that, Eagle Eyes? Yeah. That whole thing has been on fire. But for us, it's not about if somebody has or does live here. It's about the history. It's about to see the history of these places.
Eagle.
Oh, eagle! Holy cow! That's a nice. Oh, is that a hawk?
No, I think it's
Looks like an eagle. Every time me and Eagle Eyes, my son's nickname is Eagle Eyes. That's not his real name, of course. A lot of you ask me about that. But as I said, every time we come to places like this, there's either a propeller aircraft coming above or an eagle. And this time, I hope you saw it in the frame, because sometimes I think you don't believe us, but we are used to it. So we think maybe history is following us somehow, and these creatures are just part of what we do. I don't know. There are some strange buildings here as well. That looks like a church to me. Or is it a Bahnhof? There was a separate railroad track into this camp, and they could actually take the train all the way to Moscow from this area if they wanted to. But I just wanted to see. That's a belt. Gotta be kidding me. I think that's the belt from a soldier. That is definitely not a German World War II belt, nevertheless. It would have been cool if there was a belt buckle on it. But this thing here, is it a church? Haven't got a clue.
Only one way to check it out.
Check out that huge tower there.
Wait, look. It's something right there.
Yeah, I see that.
Train station?
I don't know. That building here looks like a very old one, with a wooden door and everything. It's amazing to see these structures here. And imagine, as I said, Hans and Wilfred coming out here at 6 o'clock in the morning, shined up with their uniforms. They're going to do a little parade for an inspection for higher ranking officers. They're smiling and they're happy. They're happy in their world, but they didn't know in 1937 what was ahead of them. So maybe those two guys, they actually died on the Eastern Front in Stalingrad. Who knows? This square here is just a little part of what is here. This is kind of typical where they had the transportation means. They had all the necessary transportation, trucks, all of that collected in a square like this. And it's not before you're here that you realize how incredible big some of these camps actually are. And you can walk here for hours. I mean literally hours. And you will continuously see new stuff, new things, new features. And sometimes it's like, how on the earth did they have all the funds to do this? Well, they did that because all they needed or wanted to do was to try and conquer the world with the Third Reich. So they put every necessary mean in what they needed to do, and that is why they could do this. So the people suffered, the economy was trash, and all they did was to do things that would make sure that they could start the Second World War. And we all know what happened and the outcome. But as I said, how on earth did they manage to invest so much money into what you see here? Today's value, if you kind of compare it, would be like billions of euros if you wanted to replicate something like this. There's so many things just laying around here in the forest. And I read a story about, I read a story about two local kids here in the very, very early 50s or whatever it was. They were playing around in the forest, and as they were playing around, one of the guys tripped in something, in a little dip, and they kind of went back and figured out what it was. It was actually 6 Sturmgewehrs. These, and they were packed in some kind of, I don't know, wooden, not wooden, but a material, like from the post sacks or something. And they were given to a museum at that time, and then they were split up and sold to different collectors. And I know for sure that one of the collectors are actually in the USA, and I've seen pictures of one of these, and they're in perfect, immaculate condition even today. When you walk here, you wonder, where are all the bunkers? But you have to remember, this place was built way before the Second World War. Nobody thought about needing bunkers because there were no war, but they did do things like that later and made shelters and things. But the barracks themselves were very often built so strong that they could stay in there as bomb shelters. But there are no heavy-duty bunkers or things like that. What you do find out here are several small buildings like the one you see there. That's very often pump stations. They had generator rooms, emergency generators to create power and electricity if the grid went out, because they had grid here. And most of these, or not most of them, absolutely every one of these barracks had running tap water, hot and warm water, toilets, all of that. And that is, many of the houses here around here never ever had that before the 50s. So they were very advanced for their time, and the soldiers actually benefited greatly from some of the, details like that the regular normal person in the street didn't have. See, another beautiful square. And when I say beautiful, I mean architectural. I don't mean we are at a German, whatever you like to call it, camp. This is for me very special because I love to see the details of the structures and the buildings. There's been another fire over there.
It's the same house.
Is it the same house? I'm confused. Yeah. Look at the chimney there, how it's bending. That's going to come down soon, you see? That's not going to be there for very long. But as I said, the structures here are just beautiful to look at. And when you see images like this, then you realize how much effort they put into each and every one of these World War II barrack cities. Yes, there are so many of these lost cities of the barracks out there. And if you want to help us to reach more locations, we have this little super thanks feature here. Your opportunity to help us to get some gasoline into the fuel tank and share even crazier things. I'm just right now working at a very special project. It's a Russian Cold War nuclear bomb storage area, and this is a Geiger counter. Listen to this. That thing is radioactive actually. So it's going to be pretty exciting, some of the upcoming stories that we're going to share with you. These are, by the way, the shadow boxes that we create and pass on to our supporters. As you saw that little segment of becoming a Patreon team member. Thank you for being in there for us, because you are the guys and girls who helps us out to find very special history and share it with you. So it is absolutely a pleasure for us to be able to go out there and share these moments, and we feel pretty privileged, and what can I say, absolutely an honor to be able to go out. Also, you can help us out by watching the videos in full. Don't skip, because the YouTube algorithm is not kind of helping us these days. We are plummeting down into a hole, and that's because the history channels like this are not kind of prioritized. So we need your help to climb up there. So watch more of our videos, watch them in full, and you are helping us out tremendously. All right, thank you for watching, subscribing, commenting. Thank you for being in there for us in any shape, form, or way, and we will definitely see you out there in the next one. And that could be a pretty exciting one. Bye bye.